alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I want to play a game.
Hello and welcome to the Sounds from the Grave podcast. My name is Yussef.
My name is Vania.
And the Z stands for fresh.
Hi guys, it's been a while.
It has been a while. We were supposed to record that. Okay. This episode was supposed to release weeks ago. But we recorded this episode. Everything came out great until I went to edit it, and none of my audio recorded for some weird reason. Like, I could see the video of me speaking, but there's no audio for it, and I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, that happened, and then our schedules just went hectic, so we didn't really get a chance to sit down again and record, and like so much stuff has happened with HHN since then.
Yeah,
that we are,
100%.
This is like a major just catch up episode for us.
Yeah, and I actually got back to making videos again.
That's true, you did.
If you guys missed some of the HHN stuff, I did catch you guys up a little bit on the videos, if you guys haven't already. But yeah, there's a lot to get into. So there's a couple of announcements that went through since we last talked.
That is true. The first one being Horrors of Blumhouse coming back in for the third year, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this year they're narrowing it down. It's not going to be three different franchises like last time. They narrowed it down to two. One I'm excited, like really excited for. The other one, it's been a while since I saw the movie anyway. But we're talking about The Black Phone, and we're talking about Freaky.
It's funny because the last time that we recorded this episode, I actually didn't watch Black Phone, but this time around I did. It was great. It was all fun and stuff. Either way, so Blumhouse, if you guys don't already know, they are notorious for either having a really good or a really bad house. It really is a hit or miss for Blumhouse at Halloween Horror Nights, usually located next to Fear Factor stage, where they usually have Nightmare Fuel or some hosting show that they will have, and you'll sometimes hear the music on the other side while you're waiting in line. At least it keeps some of us intact and
entertained a little bit, yeah.
Entertained a little bit by the music. But in years past, Blumhouse has done Sinister, Purge, Happy Death Day,
Insidious.
Yeah,
Insidious,
and other
and The Purge again,
and the Purge again for Blumhouse. So this time we're going into the glamour teen Freaky Friday mesh of the movie Freaky.
Yep.
So
a
horror comedy. But as I have said many episodes before, that Blumhouse is a horror to cater to their college audience. So this is very much towards that. And plus also the new scary movie that I think is actually one of my new favorite modern horror films, and that is The Black Phone.
Yeah, I would say that's one of my favorite movies of 2022 so far. Like, it was a really tense movie. It was really well acted, well shot, like scary. It was genuinely creepy.
You can tell that even though I don't think they needed to have a large budget to create this movie, it's just the suspense between it all. It's definitely adds everything together. It's more grim, so that's why I'm like very skeptical of how it's gonna play out between Freaky and the Black Phone.
Yeah,
but I
it's
hope
like
that they
it's
do
a
do it
really
justice.
it's literally like two sides of a coin. Like, you get one really like colorful horror comedy, kind of a fiasco, and then you got this dark, grim, suspenseful movie.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting, like jumping from one to the other.
So I just hope that they do a good job.
Yeah.
The second announcement
We all felt it coming.
I feel it coming.
There you go.
I feel it coming, babe. So finally, they actually, I didn't realize it until I saw the tweet. I went back to one of my videos and I actually saw the tweet that I grabbed from the weekend when he first dropped it. One of them was "In Your Eyes." He mentioned it in the tweet about Howling Horror Nights and how "In Your Eyes" has
Drop.
like what.
Dropping quote unquote hints. In other words,
Hints.
saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be at HHN."
Yeah, and not only that, like referring to the actual songs and album that is going to be based on, and I didn't realize it until it was actually announced. So, as you guys already know, the weekend announced it. Obviously, it was earlier in the year, Howling Horror Nights kind of acknowledged it with a like, but other than that, we
Like
didn't
we
actually
got
get
an
an
official confirmation. Yeah.
until just recently. So the weekend is coming to Howling Horror Nights, and it is going to be mostly based on the After Hours album, which has the songs "Save Your Tears in Your Eyes," "After Hours," and other things like that. Blinding Lights,
Yeah.
of course. And it actually threw me off because I was very sure that it was going to be based off of Dawn FM. So
I'm thinking there's gonna be a little bit of both.
I mean,
Could be.
it could be. Could be.
Who knows?
I just heard that it was going to be mostly based off of After Hours. It would be cool if they could actually get some Dawn FM stuff in there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's gonna shape up to be a really fun house. Obviously the music is great. The visuals and all the music videos is incredible, and I hate that people were just shitting all over it, and I'm like, no, this is really good.
yeah, and I
This is
mean,
gonna
he
work
does
out.
understand horror. It's just I guess he doesn't want to spur it all over his music videos,
Yeah.
to be able to attract new audiences. But I think it's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of people are still stuck in that 50 Shades of Grey song mentality.
You make it look
I think a lot of people are
it's
still like, oh, he's the guy that made the song for 50 Shades of Grey. He's not scary. He's that
Yeah,
guy with a
but
weird poodle on his head.
I mean, if you listen to his other songs, it's kind of has a very grim, sexy,
It's a dark.
sound to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just
A lot of people just
one
cannot
of
see past that, apparently.
yeah. So, but uh, besides that, I think it's gonna be a good idea, and I cannot wait because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be based on the whole theming of the storytelling that he was trying to do with obviously the fake cosmetics and all that, and blinded by fame and contorting almost into a fame monster kind of thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
So it's gonna be awesome. Another announcement is we're getting some Universal Monsters Legends Collide gallery at Cabana Bay Resort.
Oh yeah, I
Open
forgot about
to
that.
other hotel guests. So if you're staying at one of the hotels, that is an available option for you guys. I'm hoping I can do at least one night where I can actually do that, but. Yeah, and also the little bar experience that they usually have,
yeah.
Streaming
Yeah,
bar.
I've never even tried it, so.
Yeah, because I did the Icons bar last year, and
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. The director's drink though, fucking
That's
mint.
what I heard. That was the best one by far. By from everybody, I was like, yeah, the director is the best one. And I'm like, as it should be, because it's the director.
It was just very sweet and creamy, but it was also obviously it's very boozy, so but it's more on the sweeter side, but I liked it.
Yeah. But then the other thing that we got, the most recent one, would be some of the new merch that dropped at the All Hallows Eve boutique. We're talking about a metric fuck ton of little Boo merch. Because Universal decided to deliver, thankfully. I still haven't made my way up to the park.
Honestly.
Yeah, I still haven't made my way to the park recently. I need to go because I want to look at the merch. I want to get a little Boo hat.
Yeah, and when I went, I thought they had run out, and I was like, "Oh no!
Suck.
Where's Little Boo?" And then and I asked the people, I was like, You guys still have some, and then they thankfully went to the back and they grabbed more, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was really little Boo was running like just making bank.
Selling like
Yeah,
hotcakes.
yeah, it's funny how one little pumpkin,
Created a
being someone's
phenomenon.
favorite, created a universal phenomenon, the new icon. Honestly,
Jack, never heard of him.
yeah, we don't know who he is. No, it's little Boo time. But yeah, I
Little
went.
Boo's my little Boo.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I went to the park, saw all that merch goodness. Hopeful. I mean, I did hear that more stuff did come out, like more Scare Zone stuff. Dia de los
Yeah, I saw some
Muertos
pictures of like a
and
bunch of stuff has popped up recently.
Nordic,
Yeah, it almost looks
like
like
Scare Zone.
Viking-ish stuff.
Yeah, it makes me feel like the other Scare Zone that we had.
Like Vikings Undead.
Yeah,
A little bit.
Vikings Undead, but hopefully it's something like that but different, so we're not getting delivered the same thing, I
Hmm.
guess. And the one thing that's scaring me right now is the
The
Day
drink
of the
tents.
Dead. No, the Day of the Dead stuff because
Yeah, aren't
I
they
know we're supposed to
the drink
have
tents? Aren't those like
yeah,
the food and drink tents for Day
yeah.
of the Dead? Yeah.
And I was like, please don't let it like
Don't
for the
let it be Mex. Don't
fiesta.
let it be Mexican chupacabra.
Yeah,
Give
Mexican
me some
chupacabra, and
boricua.
I was like, he's the chupacabra is Boricua. He is Puerto Rican, not. I mean, they do share an origin, but it was
Yeah.
the folklore mostly started in 1995 in Puerto Rico, and then everybody just claimed across the land of everywhere that
Yeah.
they have somehow seen this chupacabra, which Mexico also adapted it as long, and also the United States. So the United States got it last, Mexico second, Puerto Rico first. So I hope we get a representation of both. But if you're just gonna strictly make it
We have
Mexico,
our
like
own cryptid.
we have our own cryptid.
Yeah,
Like please let us have one thing
it
universal.
worries me that not necessarily worried, but I think we're gonna go with the Mexican folklore route because I'm thinking it's gonna be like an adaptation of the house in Hollywood, and it's very much like Mexican folklore in the Hollywood Chupacabra house.
But we
Yeah,
already had La Llorona.
I
Like
know, I know.
La Llorona had their time. Let us have our time.
It's our moment. It's our time.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of constructions for scare zones going on
Hmm.
right now, and that leaves us from the day that we are recording this, 24 days until Halloween Horror Nights. I got my Frequent Fear Plus pass, so it's about to be a crazy haunt year.
I haven't bought shit because I'm a procrastinator.
You need to get on that
I
and
know.
watch me be like, I get the rest of
Well, I
fear.
might have to do the because Rush of Fear doesn't include Saturdays apparently.
Oh,
So I'm gonna have to get a frequent fear. So
oh,
I was already planning on doing it anyway, but now I have no choice.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you finally win and your co-host stops getting the rush of fear, you guys don't understand. Yusef
This has been
always
a
gets the
battle.
rush of fear,
This
and
has
it
been a constant
pisses me
battle
the
with
fuck
her
off.
for years now.
Every time it's like, oh, let's go to Halloween Horror Nights. I can only go in the month of September. The fuck you mean? Like, I mean, I start slowing down in October because I'm doing Petrified Forest again this year, but I am gonna go on the days that I'm not working
Hmm.
Halloween Horror Nights. But I'm gonna be going a shit ton, a lot in September. But I'm still planning on making plans to go
Yeah.
on in October, kind of thing. But yeah, like on Sundays too. On Sundays in October, after work.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
gotta sit
other
down and
than
like
that,
look at the days again and stuff.
yeah. But now finally Yusuf has no choice, so I win in the end. Yay.
Yay. Only took you what,
You're
like
so
8 years?
enthusiastic.
It only
Yeah.
took like 8 years to do it.
Yeah.
It's a battle of attrition. It took us longer than World War II.
Oh my god, yeah. It took them, and it took inflation, a battle in Russia, like
A global
universal,
pandemic,
a global pandemic just for Yusuf to get
and
a
Yusef was
frequent
still
appearance.
standing strong.
So yeah.
What's the one thing that defeated me? Universal itself.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
There you go. Universal legit said that. Fine, I'll do it myself. Use their infinity ticketing gauntlet.
Like, oh, shame. Now you have to spend more money. I'm like,
Yup.
yeah, I'm a little sad about the prices for the frequent fears, but it can't be helped. So hopefully this year is good. I'm kind of sensing, I'm sensing like an international vibe to this
Hmm.
to this
Yeah.
HHN, because there's the Nordic route, there's the Chupacabra route, there's Coven, like Coven-esque, like Salem ish, like with that witch, the spirits of the Coven
Yeah.
thing that we saw on the leak.
Well, I
Um,
didn't see it because I didn't pay attention to the leak because I didn't want to. So whatever. I think they're kind of going for like Halloween traditions from across the world because we have like the old timey looking Halloween party from like
yeah,
one of the scare zones. Then we have Day of the Dead, and then we have like something Nordic. So I'm thinking it could be like World Showcase, but for horror, for
yeah.
like Halloween and like how or like Samhain in this case. So I'm thinking it could be something like kind of folk related for the Nordic thing. It could be like here's how Halloween started. Here's Samhain.
Yeah. I'm
That'd be cool.
excited to
That
see
would be
what
an
they
interesting
bring.
concept for it.
I'm hoping that they really deliver, because it's not very IP based.
No, we've
There's
only
like
had
there's not a
four
very
IPs and that's it.
solid. Yeah, there's not a really big solid IP this year. Like, how last year it was Beetlejuice, like that was like the really big IP.
Yeah.
And considering that they didn't announce anything big crazy other than Blumhouse and Halloween and the weekend. Yeah, there's not really any
There isn't
big
like a whole
IP.
like big IP theme, which is
Hmm.
it's good because it's been a while since it kind of got away from that.
Yeah, but at the same time, then now it's like everybody's very sad because Stranger Things 4.
I don't care. I'm still gonna go.
Jesus. I mean, I
Whatever.
mean, I mean, I don't care either, but I know that there's a lot of people that were expecting like a really big
Mm-hmm.
like Netflix IP, kind of like what they did with Hill House. Even though Hill House didn't really stand out to me as a IP last year because Beetlejuice kind of stole the show,
For me as
kind
a
of
house
thing.
though, it blew like Hill House as a house itself was incredible though.
Yeah, of course it was, but it wasn't like the one thing everybody was talking about. Nobody was
Mm-hmm.
like, Hill House is great, but it's just kind of like, oh, it's there, but have you guys seen Beetlejuice? I'm like, that
Yeah.
empty ass house we got like literally like 2 years ago. Okay, like, I mean, it's a great house. Don't get me wrong. I like I said, with all the copyright stuff that they had to go through,
Yeah. It
it
really
really
hurt the
dumbed it
house.
down. It really hurt the house. So now it's just kind of like really tame house, like just to kill time kind of thing. I mean, it was still great. I love the details. I loved the scene, the production design. But it's just the lack of scare actors and a lot of recreating of the scenes is what killed
Yeah.
it for me.
Yeah. Same
Yeah.
here. But yeah, that's just, I mean, I don't think there's been anything else major dropped or announced or anything.
No, unfortunately not. We were supposed to Uh, I heard things were supposed to get dropped today, but
I think the
I
rumor's
guess
still
not
gonna be for. I think
today.
the rumor's still gonna be for Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, they did drop stuff on Tuesdays, but now
Mm-hmm.
this is like the first time that it's like they've been kind of underneath the radar and not
Yeah.
going for the stereotypical day. Maybe Thursday. Who knows?
Yeah. So I mean, we still have like 6 houses left to announce, and we have less than 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's a
So
whole lot.
yeah. But outside of that, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, which is our second part on HHN originals and how they've returned from years past. So our last episode was all about the 1990s and stuff that originated in the 1990s, and we still see, you know, it came back multiple years. Sometimes we still see today, or at least in recent years. You know, like something like Horror Wood in 2015, and Universal Monsters, and now and then the year before, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but the 2000s is kind of what we consider like the golden age of originals, because a lot of stuff that still pops up today started in the 2000s. And I mean a lot of stuff.
And we did see a lot of those come back, especially in significant anniversary
Oh
years.
yeah.
So it's, I mean, anniversary years in the late
It's like
2020s,
yeah.
but
It's like
both
every
ends of
great
it.
it's like every great horror franchise, you know, 13 sequels, remakes, reboots, requels. It's perfect.
Barbicles.
Requels.
Barbicles.
Sequels to the remakes of the requels of the prequels.
Yeah. And everything in between. It's
And
kind of like
everything in
Clone Wars
between.
to Star Wars.
Or like freaking like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, that instead of getting a sequel they made a prequel to the remake,
Yeah,
which was
that's a
so
no for
weird.
me. Yeah, it was so weird. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's get into this. And we are gonna go all the way to wait.
We'll start off
No, we already stopped there.
all the
Wait,
year. We're gonna start off in the year 2001.
okay, well, I was like, why is 2000 like up there? It's supposed to be in the 2000, I guess after 2000s, huh?
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna be talking about Run, our good old boy Eddie.
Yup. Yup. Yup.
Anyway, it was significantly toned down because of 9/11, the terrorist attacks, and Eddie is kind of terrifying, especially since he's like supposed to be like very terrorizing because he kind of admired horror films and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. So he just kind of wanted to almost like recreate or like do stuff that they did in horror films. It was supposed to be Eddie's icon house year, and it was themed around a demented game show.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah. That would have been wild if it was like a whole like the full experience of it. You know, like without the toned down stuff.
Would he be talking like Bane like this? Probably not.
Yeah. It would have been fun. I'm interested. I'm curious to see what it looks like. Like what it looked like the version that people got in 2001. Like I know there's
Yeah.
like pictures and stuff on the wiki, but like I want to like I wish there was like video of it. Like I want to see a walkthrough of it.
hmm Even then, Universal was still strict with their policy of no recording unless you're
Yeah.
like a really big media person and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
anyways, so now we go to 2006. It also featured Eddie, but it was in a different story, loosely based on the film Hostel, where Eddie runs a business where customers can butcher and torture victims for the right price.
Delightful.
Almost following the same, undertone of a demented game show,
Yeah.
but it's
I'm like, here's $20. Can I just punch a dude?
yeah,
Like
just
it's like that's all I got. It's like Eddie. This is all I got is a 20. Can I do something with a 20?
because it's like yeah, I can chop your head off. All right, great. Let me just.
Like, do you take Visa?
Do you think Visa?
Do you take Mastercard? No, wait, no. It's do you take American Express?
Do you
Universal's
take food stamps?
official credit card. Just advertise Universal. Be like, do you take American Express?
Kind of
Or
like the Cat in the Hat. It's like
yeah,
you can take a trip to Universal Studios.
pretty much. Uh, or to like make it even sadder, I'd be like, do you take Chuck E. Cheese coins?
Oh
Like, do you take
no.
arcade tokens?
Arcade tokens. But yeah, so it's more of the hostile side of the film
Yeah.
and kind of thing, but still Eddie, you know, basically Eddie being based off of like Hannibal Lecter and from Silence of the Lambs and that kind of thing. So Eddie just kind of fits under that category with like sketchy,
Back
deal
alley.
making of killing people low-key cannibalism, which hence explains the mask, but that kind of thing.
Either that, or he was a biter as a kid. Like he used to bite things, and that's why they put a mask on him. Like he probably didn't even do cannibalism; he just bit stuff.
I'm pretty sure he would have been dead. How does he eat? He just
Well,
drinks
no,
water.
he only takes off the mask to
He
eat, but then,
survives
like,
off the water.
but can you know those kids that, like, walk around and just like start biting on random shit like they're dogs or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have been one of those kids.
I like biting.
Jesus.
Shit, I'll wear a mask then. Damn. Anyway. And now we go into 2015, and it took place at Hellgate Prison. It's a similar story to the original with the 80s twist, loosely based on the film Running Man.
Yup, because this time they did it was like international killers. So you had like the Japan room, you had the Brazil room, you had a Germany room, you had the Canadian guys and with flannel and chainsaws and like that kind of stuff, which is very similar to something they did with Running Man. Plus, like the whole like 80s like synthwave vibe that they gave it to was really cool.
Yeah, I remember that house.
Yeah. And just walking in and like hearing like great 80s or 70s rock to like pump you up was fun.
Yeah, he's like, let me make my own slasher film with back in the 80s kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm about to start a fight. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Look at my neck and shit. Anyway.
Here we go.
The next one, which you didn't include in this list, which I fought you the last time for.
What?
Is Lights, Camera, Action.
Because there was a scare zone called Lights, Camera, Action that came out before.
Yeah, but it still has Eddie in it. And
okay.
It still has some type of theme.
Okay, was Eddie... Listen, though.
Torturing people.
Would you listen to me?
I will fight you. No!
Was Eddie in 2015's run? No. He was not. So don't at me.
Still based off of Eddie, so...
It's still based off of Run. Because Run...
Yeah, you run like away from Eddie in the scare zone. He's trying to chop you up. I don't know what else you want.
The fact that it's called Lights, Camera, Action after another one before that was also called Lights, Camera, Action, so that's why I put those two together.
No.
It's like saying, oh, look, Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. They both have Luke in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're still the same. They're the same franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as Lights, Camera, Action.
No.
I feel like this is like the fucking Patrick meme. Is this your license? Yes. Is your name Patrick Star? Yes. So this is your wallet? No.
No. No, it's still Lights, Camera, Action. I'm gonna include it in there.
Whatever.
That's on period. Anyway.
Anyway, moving on. Our next one here is going to be one of the longest running ones that we've had, and that is Scary Tales.
Yes, based off of all the demented fairy tale stuff that we know today.
Yep.
And we also have experienced it in 2018, but I haven't experienced it in the original year. So we're going to tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so Scary Tales came out for the first time back in 2001. Originally, it was actually going to be called Terrorland, and would include fairy tale animatronics coming to life, similar to like something like Five Nights at Freddy's or something like that with animatronics. But last second, I guess they were like, "Oh, why don't we just do Twisted Fairy Tales? That's always fun." And so that's what they did. Now, what's cool about the 2001 house is that it's the first house to ever be awarded House of the Year. So the first time they ever did House of the Year, this was the first winner. So look at you, Scary Tales. You're impressive. You go.
You go, Glen Coco.
In fact, it was so popular it came back the next year in 2002. It was going to be called Malice in Terrorland before Cindy was scrapped because Cindy was supposed to be the icon of 2002. But due to some child kidnappings in the area at the time, they were like, we shouldn't do this. It's crazy how 2 years in a row they've had to like change the event because of something going on. Like 2001 they couldn't do it because of 9/11. 2002 they couldn't do it because of kidnappings. Wild.
Yeah. Then I think they had to scrap something last year, but I forgot what it was.
I mean, like, but it was like it's weird because it was like 2 years in a row. Like they had to scrap something.
Yeah.
It's cursed. Those 2 years were cursed.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But back for '02, they added brand new fairy tales. They also added the nursery rhymes. So like Mother Goose and Little Miss Muffet and that kind of stuff. Also featured the Treats and Foons inside the house. And a nice little piece of trivia, the Snow White character was made to look like the Disney version to throw some shade their way. Because why not? It's always fun to throw some shade at Disney.
And it's fun because Universal's like, don't record, so there is no actual evidence of copyright.
Yup.
And they really do enforce this in all forms of media that is put out into the world. I know that it happened for whenever Nightmare Fuel was just starting out. Somebody recorded it and it got taken down, and it's like it's trying to avoid the whole feud with Disney. I'm pretty sure Disney CEOs and all that stuff have seen the show, but since there's no like digital evidence to prove like any shade towards, especially with that, I never saw the poster in that tribute store that actually made fun of Disney. That one year, I think it was last year, but apparently they do shade, but somebody actually took a picture, and some Disney was like, "Oh, you can't do that."
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. But yeah, but it's not the first time they've done this. Let me just elaborate a little bit. In 2008, it featured more involved story, which is the evil queen and had her minions to rewrite the fairy tales with darker endings. I mean, the fairy tales within itself were already scary. I mean, come on, if you guys haven't actually followed the Grimm brothers or like Christopher Anderson's work, I mean, I don't know, I can't help you there, but like
she decided to go the DC route and be like, make it dark, make it grim,
exactly.
edgy. So that means that the evil queen is actually an edgelord.
That part. So it took place in the tales of realm of Mary's Mirror. Gothic music composers Knox Arcana. Wow.
Arkansas.
And Arkansas.
Knox, Arkansas.
Knox, Arkansas. Sorry, I'm like butchering names. Knox Arcana and their 2008 album Grim Tales served as an inspiration for the house. So.
I remember that house. I think that was actually my first ever Horror Nights house. Because '08 was my first year. I think that was my first house. And I remember being terrified. Because just seeing you walk. I think it's supposed to be like Jack and the Giant Beanstalk. But it's always like the vines of the beanstalk are like people dressed up. Kind of like the ones they did for Seeds of Extinction. Some of those would scare you. And that was terrifying.
This is the part where I call you out. Wait, give me a second. Anyways. In 2015... it returned as a scare zone, which run.
Okay, but it was still called Scary Tales.
Was it not Scary Tales? It was anyway. It returned as a scare zone with a steampunk twist. So you're telling me that the steampunk, just because of steampunk, and it's a version, I guess it's okay.
Well, no, because it was still called Scary Tales. If the scare zone had been Run Eddie's Revenge, I would have put it in there.
Yeah, but it was steampunk. It wasn't fairy tales.
But it was still called Scary Tales.
And steampunk, though, it's not fairy tales. What fairy tales takes place in a steampunk world? Nowhere. So you can just tell me that you can grab anything.
You do realize the full name of that was Scary Tales Screampunk. It was specifically called Scary Tales.
Yeah, I might as well just call it steampunk. It's not scary tales.
Because it was still fairy tale characters, just with a steampunk thing.
Anyways, they actually also followed the same color scheme as Disney with some of the characters, including Belle and the Beast.
Yep, I remember those. Belle with her yellow dress and Beast with his blue.
And I actually knew Belle.
Jacket,
so
blazer.
She was awesome. Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. Either way, I'm still right. And lastly, in 2018, it was focused on the Wicked Witch of the West, which we already know. I'll get to my pretty little dog too. Like taking over fairy tale land and corrupting all the creatures. I love this house because you got to see some really weird shit, especially Rapunzel's like hair trying to be ripped off her scalp as she's trying to escape the tower kind of thing. Then you see like one of the soldiers like I think it was from Humpty Dumpty or some shit like
Oh,
that. I
trying to put them
forgot.
back together or something.
And try to put it back together, and he's like throwing up and all that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then the Humpty Dumpty's all flopped over, and then there were like mermaids like in between stuff, and also I think some hunchback
Oh, I don't
scene.
remember.
I could be
Like,
wrong,
this is a house that I
but
have amnesia about. Like, I remember like bits and pieces, but I don't remember the whole
yeah.
house at all.
But I remember the witch for like running
Mm-hmm.
around, or,
Yeah,
like
the witch
flying
was
around.
amazing.
That was really really cool scene. It's almost like the bride in the beginning of the Bride of Frankenstein
Mm-hmm.
lives. So it's a vibe. So Scary Tales has come back not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 times, and I'm pretty sure sometime in the future we will probably get it back soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we did.
Yeah.
But coming up next, we're gonna move up to year 2002, and we're gonna be talking about Scream House, which is one of the houses that I really wish I could have seen. And it just makes me think of like that Travel Channel documentary. I think it was called like Behind the Scare or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we're talking about Scream House 2002, the Caretaker's Icon House. It was 2002's House of the Year, and you made your way through the Caretaker's twisted and disturbing home and mortuary. It was originally going to be called House of Dead Maniacs, and it was going to be a similar concept but featuring Cindy, but of course that was scrapped. Um, so I liked the idea of this house. It sounded like Victorian TCM
Yeah.
because it had to do with like people getting chopped up and cannibalism and stuff in there. So I'm like, it's Texas Chainsaw, but with Victorian stuff. Very cool.
It's just the fact that the caretaker and Cindy are so like fascinating characters. I feel like if we haven't gotten this house, we would have actually gotten more into the lore of the caretaker
Mm-hmm.
and the whole like family
Dynamic.
family dynamic, and especially since he was so calm, and he also like showed people like in his town and the cops like, hey, this is what I'm doing.
You
Not
had
that you
no
think I'm a
chill.
twisted fuck or anything, but like
You had no chill.
other than, yeah, but I feel like it's so great that it hopefully. I mean, we haven't gotten it back recently, but this is one of
Mm-hmm.
like the very humble beginnings of Dr. Albert Kane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but again, similar to Scary Tales, it proved to be so popular that immediately the year after they brought it back again as a sequel. They didn't really make a whole lot of changes, except they made the house a little bit more dilapidated, and they made the house look like it had been burned, because that was part of the lore where after um the Kane family or the Kane clan was like driven out, or they were trapped in there or something, and the townspeople set fire to the house, and they were trapped in the house while it got set on fire, but they never found the bodies. Like that was part of the lore.
spooky.
And what's really cool too is this is the first official house to actually feature Cindy.
Yeah, sweet little Cindy. Now that she can actually come back and not be scrapped because of child abductions. Things have subsided. The world kind of wins. Kind of.
I have no idea what that's supposed to mean.
Like basically, like how like she couldn't have the opportunity to come out the year before because of
Mm,
all the like abductions, but I guess like the next year it subsided, so she was able to actually make an appearance.
yeah. Okay, I see what you
Yeah,
mean now.
yeah. I didn't mean it in a twisted
Because no
fuck
good.
way.
Because you said the world always wins. I'm like, is that supposed to be the house always wins? Like the Lady Luck thing?
No, like like in real life, get out of the HHN world. You sound like me
No.
when I'm in VR chat. No, I'm kidding.
Jesus.
But either
Thing
way,
is, anyway, but Screamhouse wouldn't return for another 3 years. It came back in '06 for Sweet 16, and took place in the caretaker's house. It was also 2006's House of the Year. So Screamhouse so far is the only original so far to have won House of the Year twice. So look good for you, Screamhouse. Because this was and now this is considered kind of a remake, so they gave the house a brand new look. It was more menacing, supposed to be like darker, edgier, grim, like bloodier, more violent, that kind of thing. And Cindy does appear in this, but because this house was supposed to be darker and gloomier, she appears as a corpse. And the entrance to the house. Now I don't know if she's just like thrown in with other corpses or if she's in like a coffin or something. I don't know. But all I know is that she does appear as a corpse. She did.
She did.
Miss Keisha. Miss Keisha.
She did.
Oh shit, she did.
Oh no. Yeah. Now we are in, well, not exactly.
I know this next one is I know where you're gonna fight me. We'll get when we read through it. I know where you're gonna fight me.
All right. Let me just.
You have this sly smile, like you're getting ready.
Bonito, huh?
Jesus. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, go.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with Port of Evil.
Okay.
Came out in 2002. It was the Caretaker Scare Zone. It was the first thing you saw when you came into the park. And it featured Victorian era ghosts.
What the fuck was Scream House then?
Scream House was his house.
No, entonces qué carajo es eso?
Port of Evil was a scare zone.
Yeah, but still, it has to do with the caretaker, and it had to do with the Victorian era ghost, which we assume that is going to be the civilians and his family and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So you would technically like toss it into the caretaker stuff.
I was just going off the wiki. I'm sorry.
The wiki. Hey, Jen, wiki. I need you to like check your sources, bruh. Like we out here.
Okay.
Now you have us both fighting now.
You're creating strife.
My best friend. Either way.
2003 came by. Same name, Port of Evil, but this time it was themed to the director and featured demons and other similar hellish creatures.
I would have liked to see that.
Same, especially because that's where you got to see the bathtub kill too. The infamous Rat Daddy bathtub kill.
Rat Daddy.
For life.
For life.
And then,
makes me hope and wonder that we will somehow get icons in some shape or form, please. Anyways.
Here we go. Here comes the fighting. So what happens in 2004, Vania?
Name changed to Point of Evil, centered around electricity, featuring skeletalkers and robotic creatures. And see, it doesn't even have the same name. Probably
it gets worse.
Completely different.
It gets worse.
And
what happens in 2005, Vania?
In 2005, Terror Guard Run, entrance to Terra Quintus. All creatures and landed Terror Queen on the throne. Like at that point, I'm tired. So I'm fucking.
The way I saw it, except for Point of Evil, the way I saw it is like 02, 03, and 05 were like the first thing you saw, and it was like an icon scare zone. So I think that's kind of why I put them together. 04, I think I just
you might as well just put the one Eddie together now. Isn't that right?
I was talking location.
Oh, location.
Listen, it's like it's like real estate. Location.
I'm sick. Anyways, check some foons.
Go take some Robitussin. Go drink some Benadryl.
Lysol. Anyway,
Jesus.
In 2002, located in Toon Lagoon, plenty of foam lighting effects as the Treeks and Foons walked around and causing mayhem. So they actually look very friendly, but their faces are just creepy.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Freaky Fred from like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Very naughty, except that they were kind of fat and very colorful.
For me, it was the guys from the things from Spy Kids, the Fluglies.
Yeah. So it's one of those little cutesy, but kind of creepy.
They kind of they're kind of like a Tweedledee Tweedledum type of look.
Yeah, very much that. I mean, if you haven't seen him Lights Camera Action, which you might as well just put it in there too. If you see it in like the Scare Zone videos and the pictures, that's exactly what they look like.
Yep.
So, in 2007, an unofficial part of Midway Bazaar, after the public complained about the lack of content, they ended up just plugging them in there. They're just like, here you go, more Treeks and Foons.
Because the Midway of the Bazaar had not changed since like 2000.
Yeah.
They were like midway, 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 shit, midway, and Treeks and Foons.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're moving on to something a little strange because it's just like kind of an outlier, and that's
Yeah.
Booville. Poor
Yeah.
Booville.
Booville.
Because
Yeah.
Booville came out in 2002. It had no actors, just low lights and spooky music, and it was the same exact thing in 2003. Only reason for that being because of something to do with Dr. Seuss's wife and Dr. Seuss's estate. They couldn't do anything with that. They couldn't like add scary elements to it. So the whole
Yeah.
story was the Who's were all scared, so they just stayed in their houses. And that was it. That's all they did.
Yeah. So probably that's why they're in during the holidays. There's just going.
They go ham.
They go ham.
They go roast beast.
They go roast beast because they're like
Now we can come out.
forced to quiver for an entire month. But
Yeah.
yes.
Now,
But
I think this is gonna be the one we're getting to is probably gonna be my favorite, like, original. So at least so far from the ones we've talked about so far.
yes. Anyways, should also be categorized with an icon. Just saying. The next one is Psycho Scarapy.
Yup, yup, yup. Alright, so Psycho Scarapy came out for the first time in 2003, and this is the part that always drives me insane. I don't know how they put this in there, but it was inside the Jurassic Park Discovery Center. Like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how did they fit that in there?
I
Did they
mean,
take all the dinosaurs out or something and then, like, put it in the bottom floor?
storage. I mean, I don't know that anything can happen, especially
I'm just
since
curious though, because like how do they deal with like the first of all the size of that? It's not a huge area, and second of all, how do they deal with the giant pillar that is the elevator and the stairs?
I'm sure they
I
figured something out.
yeah, I'm just like curious as to like what they actually did.
Well,
It's
we can
mystifying.
always
It's mystifying.
electrifying. Keep up. R.I.P. Sandy. And I need a man. Anyway, but yes,
So Psycho Scarapy was the 2003 House of the Year. It was also the original incarnation of the infamous Shady Brook Asylum.
we want it back. Damn it.
And it had one of those another infamous thing was the bathroom scene, which is known for its horrid, disgusting smell, which apparently was so strong that the poor people at Burger Digs could smell it.
Oh no.
Imagine you're eating at
The
Burger
lovely
Digs.
smell of
You're eating at
scat.
Burger Digs and you're like, God damn, it smells like shit up here. I'm
Basically.
just trying to eat a burger, man. It smells like shit.
Yeah. It's like it
Huele a caca.
feels like I'm just like smelling my dog shit.
Huele a
What the
caca.
fuck? But yeah, so it had one of those peculiar smells. Another house that kind of had that peculiar smell is
Looking
the
at you, Dollhouse
Dollhouse
of
of
the
the Dam. But yeah, but this is definitely one of those things that is very unique within its nature, especially since it actually took place in the Jurassic Park Discovery Center, and they were able to fit a house in there, and it had a particular smell. So yeah, great. And House of the Year.
House of the Year. And then 3 years later, 2006, Sweet 16, Psycho Scarapy comes back, this time led by Jack, and it was his first actual icon house. Because he didn't really get an icon house in 2000, it was just an icon, but he didn't get his own house.
Yeah.
It was led by Jack, it was his icon house, there were references to DC and the Joker, you know, the whole thing, Clown in the Asylum type of dealio. There was also something to do with Eddie, I believe, where they had like a little crib, or like two cribs, one for each of them, because they were born in Shady Brook.
Yeah.
So, fun stuff.
And that's also really cool. I mean, like, even though, like, Jack and Chance are very loosely based on Joker and Harley Quinn, I kind of love the fact that they just became their own little thing. So, within, like, our horror universe, of course, in Hollywood, they can never understand, but it's something that, it's become very unique to us, especially since I feel like they don't have to kind of rip off the script anymore from DC.
They just did their own thing at this point.
Yeah.
But a year later, Psychoscarapy would come back. But this time it would be called Psychoscarapy Home for the Holidays. So it was a Christmas-themed Psychoscarapy house. And the whole story behind that was the inmates were escaped. The inmates escaped and were loose on Christmas Eve. And I love the original name for this because it just makes me think Garbage Day. Because it was going to be called Silent Night, Psychotic Night. And I'm over here thinking Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
But instead it was named Psychoscarapy again. But, with the Home with the Holidays kind of theme and, the inmates trying to escape.
Plus, it was so popular that we saw it again for 25 when they had like the one room in Jack Presents 25 Years of Monsters, Madness, and Mayhem with like the one Run DMC Christmas song.
Yeah.
Which I love, and the chainsaw toting Santa Clauses.
Yeah, I wish I caught that reference the first time I actually went through it and actually appreciated it more. But for sure, in not next anniversary, I guess the 35th anniversary. Hopefully, Universal.
Yeah, it's funny too because I have such fond memories of that because like 2007 HHN in general was like the first time I got really interested in it, and I remember going to the website multiple times in one single day because I could look at like the descriptions of the houses and like the little things that they had like the little tarot cards that you would flip over and they had like little like stuff you could click on like interactive stuff, and I'm like, I miss that so much. I miss it so much. But anyway, enough of going down memory lane. We're gonna go talk about 2010. I don't remember the name of this one. I just know it's Psycho. I think it was Echoes to Shady Brook.
Yeah.
I think so. But it had to do with the ghosts of the inmates, and it was kind of weird how they presented it. But before we get to that, it also had a nice little guest activated button that when you press it, had presented you with a Jack cameo. So very nice. Very cool. So what's cool about the way they showed the patients is they appeared how they died. So for example, if one of them was let's say they were they went a little too far with the electroshock therapy, you would see them electrocuted. Like you would see like burn marks from like where they put the little things on your temples and that kind of stuff. Or if they got stabbed in the eye, you would see scissors sticking out of their eye.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they also had a thing in a corridor scene that had a bunch of tick marks on the walls that if you counted them up, they counted up to 20. Celebrate 20 years of fear for that year.
I love that year. I mean, I kind of I very vaguely remember it, but it was still very cool. Mm-hmm. Especially that's the first year that we were introduced to fear, and I just remember the scare zone with the two really big veiny X's.
Mm-hmm. And the giant Daru walking around.
Yeah, like leather daddy, like get out of here, the leather BDSM daddy, you mean? But
But the last time we've seen Psychoscarapy was in 2015, where it came back as a scare zone with inmates wreaking havoc during Halloween, and they also held a small costume contest, which is very cute.
Yeah, it's very cute.
I gotta say though, somebody's gotta they gotta upgrade Shady Brook, because how many times have they escaped at this point?
A lot.
A lot. They're like, this is worse than Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I was like, every single time. It's like, we can't keep them in check, bro. Like
what the hell?
Like, Jack keeps telling, let's just,
It's like you put 2 inmates in, but like 10 escape.
Like, how many inmates are left? None. Why? Because you let them all out.
Because somebody let the door open.
Yeah. Who let the dogs out? Oh, yeah, I thought you wanted me to let the dogs out. Like, that's like probably like a stupid cop that's like,
That one dumb security guard.
No.
Jesus.
Anyway, so yeah, that was probably one of the more favorable houses. IP house, not IP. Wow, why do I keep calling IP like originals IPs? I should stop that shit. That's like in my vocabulary now for like everything. Everything is an IP now.
Your IP house.
It's an IP.
IP house.
It's an IP. IP house.
IP house.
Yes, it's one of the more favorable original houses that I hope that they keep bringing back because it's a part of very essential to the HHN lore, especially in Cary, Ohio.
Yup.
But the next one we are going to be going to is All Night Diane. And in 2003, that's when it first appeared. It's an icon house for the director. Oh, so many fights. Locations included the Diane, the Myers house, Camp Crystal Lake, and Boiler Room, which this is when they had that, I'm assuming the contract with New Line Cinema. So
Yes.
it's kind of very cool that to see that, with New Line Cinema, then we have the director. It's very of a Hollywood vibe. And in 2006, it is a sequel to 2003. And it's an icon house for the director, yet again, and it featured Ghostface, Samara, Pinhead, and Hannibal.
I would have loved to see that. I would have adored seeing a Pinhead room. Like
I would have adored seeing Ghostface,
inside of his dimension, like after you open the lament configuration. Oh,
yeah.
And just like having him and all the other Cenobites just like standing there, and he's got like the puzzle box in his hand. I'd be like, hell yeah. Give me more of that Clive Barker action.
Jesus, bro. It would have been nice to actually have finally some representation from the Scream universe too. So.
Yeah, that's true. But now we're gonna go to the Wild West.
Wow. The Wild is run in the wilderness. Wrong park. Anyway.
Oh, no.
We've done that so many times.
We're going to talk about a Ghost Town.
Yeah, we're talking about Ghost Town.
So Ghost Town came out for the first time in 2004. It was an abandoned Wild West town with ghost cowboys. So think Phantom Manor from Paris, like Disneyland Paris, because that was their theme. Like their haunted mansion is like cowboys. Yeah. Apparently the French people love that version of Americans, like cowboys. For some reason, the French people are obsessed with John Wayne and the cowboy vibe, I guess, when it comes to thinking about Americans.
I don't know why I thought you were about to finish that to John Wayne Gacy. I'm like, wait a second.
Yes, the French love John Wayne Gacy.
Just wait a second, that's a clown. That's a whole serial killer. I was like, okay, never mind, John Wayne.
They call. They're just obsessed with John Wayne Gacy in France. They actually have a statue for him and everything. Jeez. Anyway, so they had a hanging dummy in that house that also appeared in Project Evolution. I think in Project Evolution they had him. It was supposed to be one of the doctors that experimented on people and gave him dinosaur DNA or whatever it was. So that's cool. I like when they reuse stuff like that. Yeah. But it wouldn't come back for 12 years. We didn't get it again until 2016 when it was a requel. It was called Ghost Town Curse of Lightning Gulch. And so Universal Creative reimagined the town. They kind of just expanded on it and expanded the lore and expanded the backstory of the town. They made it more alive, I guess.
I wouldn't doubt if the ghost town was that forgotten child that they actually left inside the closet and then the guard, they're like, I forgot I had this, I should reuse it, kind of thing. It's we have all these
completely by accident, somebody dropped a paper by accident. They're like, oh shit, I remember this. I should probably bring it back.
Yeah, I'll just bring it back. And I have more things to match it, so it's fine. There you go. And now Ghost Town only appeared twice, unfortunately. Hopefully we might see a variation of this in the future. And the next one is Castle Vampire. In 2004, it was based on all kinds of vampires, featured 2 stories, a staircase for guests to climb, and it also won House of the Year.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so I like that they went for that route of the different different reimaginings of vampires and their look.
Did they also do shiny vampires?
Well, this is before Twilight, so I don't think so.
How did we get here? Say it out loud.
This is the face of a killer.
The face of the killer. You're
I'm
a
thinking
vampire.
they probably had like Nosferatu vampires and like Bela Lugosi type vampires and maybe like um what's the word I'm looking for? Like the Bram Stoker's Dracula vampire with like the really like old bat like looking face. That'd be
Yes.
cool.
I would have liked to see that.
Oh,
In
here comes some fighting.
2000
Here comes another fight.
2006. Blood Masquerade Scare Zone. Not even called Castle Vampire. Features scare zones. Wow, features scare
It's a
actors
scare zone
on
that features
Bungie
scare
Court.
zones. Oh my! You know what they should do? They should do a scare zone about scare zones. She's like, I'm not even gonna dignify that with an answer.
Featured scare actors on Bungie Court that would scare guests. So basically, it didn't even have the same name. It wasn't even like not even a lot of vampires, so irrelevant. And I declare,
No, it was about vampires,
it was
and
about
it's
vampires, but it's a blood masquerade. Had another name.
because there were hints that it was part of the same lore. There were like hints scattered around the scare zone that like tied it back to Castle Vampire.
I'd be like, you're a Bungie cord. Anyways, so in 2007, returned the year after that, it returned as a house set in New York nightclub infested with vampires. Last house located in Nazarman's.
Yeah, I would have liked to see
Yeah.
that, like a New York nightclub, with like vampires. It makes me think of Blade.
Basically, it just makes me think of the Boris Schuster, that one scene with the devil girl, just change her into a vampire. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, and
I
now
love this one of
it's
those
funny
like
'cause
techno tech vampire look like that. What was it? What's that shit called? Underworld. Yes.
that's what I'm thinking. That's probably the vibe that they're kind of going for with that. Kind of like that
Yeah.
Matrix vibe with like Matrix with vampires vibe.
Do you take the blue or the red pill?
Do you bite the left neck or the right neck?
Stop. No, we're done.
Anyway, but when it comes to Nazermans, I love that there's so much history there because they did a ton of houses in Nazermans, and now it's just Ben and Jerry's and Starbucks.
R.I.P.
How the mighty have fallen.
That part.
What Yussef said.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to our next one here is called Detropolis. Detropolis came out for the first time in 2004. And it was strangely enough, it was the first HHN house about the zombie apocalypse. It took them 14 years to make a house about the zombie apocalypse.
Damn.
Wowee. It was also the first known appearance of the Barfing Man, which we saw in Penn and Teller Nuke Las Vegas, and to a certain extent in the Trick or Treat Scare Zone, and also the house, right? Barfing Kid was in the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've seen him a couple times.
Yeah, and it keeps getting reused, but it's a great thing to keep reusing. It's a great prop.
Of course it is.
Just like the American Werewolf in London animatronics.
Like the wolf, the ding dang wolf.
Yeah, the freaking wolves, and they also used it, I think, for Exorcist too, and they put it as the demon. I forgot.
For Pazuzu?
Yeah, for
Legit?
Zuzu.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they just like take all the hair out?
That they did it. Yeah.
Just like reskinned him.
They reskinned them.
That's weird. That's kind of freaking me out.
Crazy, yeah. But then in 2006, the Scare Zone featured heavy metal, bikers, and the music was from George Romero's Land of the Dead for Scare Zone in New York.
That's also crazy. There was no Scare Zone in New York until 2006. And we're so used to seeing a Scare Zone in New York now. Like, that's like a staple now.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very vast area. So I wouldn't like imagine even that area being remotely empty. I mean, it was already bad enough when we had The Simpsons very, not have anything last year. So hopefully they actually put something in the Scare Zone this time.
Yeah, so it's only been shown twice and that hasn't really come back. I don't think it was that popular. It's also because zombies kind of got taken over by The Walking Dead type of deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's really like we haven't seen them after that. But moving on to our next section here, we're going to be talking about something that's really, really interesting, really cool, and that is Field of Screams, which makes me think of the movie Field of Dreams. So if you build it, they will come, type of thing.
Damn.
And so Field of Screams came out for the first time in 2004. It was so this is when a year that they did both Islands of Adventure and Universal at the same time for Horror Nights, so they had like kind of split the park in half. So it was actually,
I would love to witness that.
so it was a scare zone that was a bridge between IOA and Universal Studios. So you had to like walk through there to get from one park to the other.
Damn. I wonder if they you only had to go through the park one way, or if it had to be like
Or if
done.
you go like if you could start at one and go to the other, and then vice versa type of thing.
Yeah, can you imagine doing that now with the Harry Potter thing? Like,
Just make the haunted train.
haunted train.
All they have is just the Hermione voice actor saying all the lines. The horrible Hermione voice actor. That doesn't sound even close to freaking Emma Thompson, or is that her name?
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. There's like three.
Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson is from Nanny McPhee. Oh my god. Jesus.
Oh man.
Emma Watson.
Revenge is sweet. Anyways.
But
So corn maze with scarecrows and pumpkin heads made from real corn. So I wonder if this year was this during Hurricane Charlie? Because now there's the superstition.
It was.
Oh,
That was also on the wiki too, where a bunch of the corn had blown away, but they still luckily had enough to make the scare zone. Didn't this also happen when they did Scarecrow the Repeat?
And it's funny.
Universal
because...
did just stop planting corn. Apparently, that's a curse. You cannot plant corn on Universal property.
There's literally a tropical thing going towards Orlando right now. Like not Orlando, obviously Florida. The line, the little European model, it's going towards Florida, and then everybody's like, "Damn it, Universal, you and the fucking corn!" Like
somebody's planting corn.
Yep.
Anyway.
I mean, there is corn in the New York area, so that's on them.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Damn it, Universal, why? Don't you learn?
They don't learn.
Anyway.
So in 2006, it was Scare Zone of the Year, and it located in Central Park.
Ah, yes. Good old Central Park. Home of some of the best scare zones ever.
Yeah, I feel like they need to make more scare zones, all these bigger scare zones, just like they did the Viking Undead and Trick or Treat. I feel like those are so well made that I feel like if they expand on it more, I feel like it was a little too small for Terra Quintus.
A little bit, yeah.
But bigger as in, like, I guess use the surroundings a little bit more wisely, or being able to use the pathway.
Because at the same time, it would have been hard to fit it anywhere else because of the whole foresty thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you were going to do Terra Quintus, that's kind of the only place where you could put it to give it, like, the proper vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on to one of the creepier scare zones. So that is, or I don't know if it's, I think it was the first one was a house. And that is the school. So it came out for the first time in 2005. And it had to do with the children of the body collectors, the oremongers, and other demons and creatures of Terra Quintus.
That's very
cool. It was just a house for creepy kids.
Oh.
And it was also the last house located in Thunder Falls Terrace, which is the other section of Jurassic Park. I think is where they have the other restaurant, like in front of the ride.
Yeah.
So, but it also came back in 2008. This time as a scare zone and featured a large schoolhouse building that was really, really cool. Because you could walk through it and you would see like the desks and like some of the kids would be there and like scare you and stuff. And it also came back for Scary Horror in the Heartland. I also love that if you go to their website and if you saw it on the map, the kids in the logo were the kids from Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Which I love that they were like, can we use these kids and put them on this thing? Thanks.
Nobody knows the movie.
At the time, it was it was still kind of an underground thing.
Yeah, the underground movie. Everybody's like, every time I said, I love Trick or Treat, everybody's like, what's that? Now that Universal did Halloween Horror Nights, oh my god, I love Trick or Treat.
Yeah,
damn.
It still had like that kind of low cult status. It hadn't reached a lot of people yet. Granted, at the same time, 2008 was only a year after the movie had come out, so it hadn't been after that long. So people still didn't really know about it. But yeah, and speaking of the school and how they were the children of the body collectors, we're moving on to body collectors.
Yeah. Oh, in Body Collectors in 2005, the gentleman would take the victims and turn them into grotesque art. House of the Year, because it's probably very grotesque, very scary, and
I would have loved to see those art pieces.
The more disturbing the house, the better. And the last house to be put into the Jurassic Park Discovery Center. So there we are again, putting stuff into the Jurassic Park Discovery Center. It had a charm to be House of the Year.
You're definitely discovering something in there.
But I wish they would, like I have said many times again, I wish they would still do the cross paths between the parks. Either way, in 2008, it expanded on the story and it revealed that they were responsible for Jack the Ripper. The barbershop is a near replica of the one from the Tim Burton movie, Sweeney Todd. I would have loved to see that. I love Sweeney Todd.
I was watching that like a couple weeks ago, actually.
Sweet Joanna. Do they sing? I need the body collectors to, like, sing to me.
Anyway.
Vecna can do it now. Anyways.
He's gonna make you number one.
But the same actor who did Vecna was in Sweeney Todd. Why the fuck not?
I know he was.
Anyway, so in 2008, again in the same year, Streets of Blood Scare Zone expanded on the house queue, and it also was Scare Zone of the Year.
I remember loving that Scare Zone because it was like right in front of the entrance. It was by the New York like Mummy entrance area. They would have the body collectors walking around, and some of them were in Heelys, which was the fucking hilarious, like the most hilarious thing. Because they would have like these, like they would have like the scalpels or like pocket knives, and they would just be like rolling towards you in the Heelys with these ridiculous like white faces.
That's awesome.
It was the greatest.
But finally, in 2015, the mashup with Psycho Scarapy was set during a blizzard. Two babies representing Jack and Eddie appear. Oh, I'd like to see the babies.
Oh, look at the baby.
I would like to see the demented babies, please.
I remember this house had that like one really crazy room with like the operating theater. Because it was like the one gentleman in the middle, like ripping somebody's spine out, and then he's got like a bunch of other gentlemen around him in this round room where they would just stare at the surgery.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah.
that
was like during Jack Presents, right?
Yes, and I remember the facade of that was really cool because it was like you would walk in, it was like a really like destroyed, abandoned version of Shady Brook, and there's like snow everywhere. It's like frozen off. It looked so cool.
Take me back in time. I needed to appreciate that year more for sure. But now here we go to another crazy house that gives everybody seizures.
Oh yeah,
literally.
Dead Exposure.
Yeah, Dead Exposure has a notorious record of sending people to hospitals and shit. Anyway, so in 2008, yes. So in 2008. The house was dark, painted UV colors. Bright flashes were made to look like a camera flash, and it also took House of the Year, and it was in Cary, Ohio. So it's just so much epilepsy galore.
Epilepsy galore.
Do the Harlem Shake. Sorry.
Stop. Stop with that joke.
Sorry. That was insensitive.
It's in poor taste.
I do have poor taste.
But anyway, 2010. It didn't come back as Dead Exposure. It came back as Zombie Geddon. What did you say?
I do have poor taste, and then there was a delay, and you started talking. I'm like, in Friends.
Wow. Okay. Thanks.
Nah, you're fine. I love you. I love my co-hosts. I just like torturing them. If I don't torture you, that means I don't. If I don't torture you, that means I don't like you. But if I torture you, that means that you're in the clear. We hermanos. We broken.
Hey, we even dress the same. Hey, hermano.
Hermano.
Anyway, it came back in 2010. This time with a different name. It was called Zombie Geddon. And before you fight me on this, it was a semi-sequel set in the same continuity because it made references to characters in the house from 2008. They even made reference to the character that you follow in the first Dead Exposure, Charlie McPherson, the photographer. Like, they made mention of that specifically. So that's how you know it's set in the same... It's a sequel. I'm stopping you now before you go apeshit on me.
Still Zombiegeddon. Anyway, it was rethemed as a thought comedy house because you know who's the real clown? Yussef. Anyway, so in 2018 we get it back as Patient Zero, and it has a strobe-like effect. And I would know because literally the first week of that house being out, like there was literally like it kept getting closed off because people kept tripping and going sent to hospitals and things that because they don't read warning labels. It's kind of like anything, like don't drink Lysol, but then people proceed to eat little Tide Pods. But here we go. It had a strobe-like effect that it returned and it was explained as a side effect of a vaccine. And it kind of like, it's like, I think the theme was supposed to like make you blind kind of thing.
Like one of the side effects was it was making you blind.
Yeah, so it was set in the 1980s of Paris, and one of the walls in the cage area had Nosferatu's shadow.
Look at that! I remember that too. I think it was like right after like the first room with like the monkeys in the cages.
Yeah,
which was like such a great start to that. You walk in and immediately you're just assaulted by the sounds of screaming monkeys.
Yeah, like cages. That's exactly how I want to go. So yeah,
which just makes me think of 28 Days Later. Because remember that's how it started with the monkey attacking the dude.
Yeah.
Crazy monkey.
But, Dead Exposure is one of those, especially in 2018, had, like, a really great, like,
Dead Exposure was wild.
The beginning of the facade and then the music with Joseffelstein, it really set you in, like, a really post-apocalyptic vaccine kind of, like, vibe. It was very weird. It's like you're infected.
Yeah, like medical... apocalypse type thing.
Yeah.
Medical horror.
Medical horror. Every medical.
The doctor will see you now.
Yeah.
Say
Please no.
just relax your sphincter.
It's like it's just my first time. This is. I feel bad for whoever's listening to this. Hi.
It's time for your prostate exam.
That's something you want to hear when someone's talking about a podcast. We love that. Anyway.
Medical horror.
So we're going to be proceeding to Asylum in Wonderland because I feel like I'm in Asylum right now. In 2008, it was a scare zone and it was Bloody Mary's twisted version of Wonderland. So, Dr. Mary Agana, which, of course, she, it's like her own little Alice Wonderland. And, it's funny because she had a patient that she was, she had bibliophobia, which she didn't like reading and stuff and things about fairy tales. If you read stuff about fairy tales to this one patient, it would actually drive her really insane. This is also including the Alice in Wonderland and everything on the fairy tale. So it also included scary tales into that. Yeah. So this is possibly
what is this action that you're doing?
I don't know, but I think I'm very entertained by it. I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. For the Wonderland. I feel like I'm a part of like what we do in the shadows. Like it's gonna be the flag. Anyway, so that it was first a scare zone, and then again in 2015, it was a 3D house with similar themes as 2008, and the first house located in the Shrek Theater.
Would you stop with that voice? Quit it.
Why?
Because it's freaking me out. Because I'm like trying to take this, like I'm like reading through the doc and I just keep getting distracted by your voice.
I'm the audiobook now, please.
You're the audiobook.
Let me live my best audiobook life. But yes, it was the same. It was turned into a 3D house, similar themes as 2008. First house located in the Shrek Theater. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And here we go to the Avengers level fight that we're gonna have right now.
And I'm gonna be using this voice now.
And that is lights, camera, action.
Which should have been Ron, but here we are. We doing the whole Eddie thing again, and you should have seen that. Anyway, so in 2009, it started the Chainsaw Drill team, which they actually started way before that, especially like in the early 2000s when the Julie Zimmerman actually started Howling Horror Nights. And the name of the director was Sam Raimi, but it was spelled backwards because
Did you say Sam Raimi? Leia Remini?
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi.
So, it was spelled backwards. So
would it be
that was
Mass
the name.
Imiar?
Don't do drugs, kids. Stay in school. So yeah, and lights, camera, action. Even though we had the chainsaw drill team a long time ago, it actually, it was primarily like a starring thing of that. So then the name of the director was Sam Raimi, but backwards. In 2021, not 2001.
A Space Odyssey? An Eddie Odyssey?
Yes.
Oh, no, wait. 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey, anyway.
You're welcome.
Eddie's Icon Zone featured creatures and monsters from the classic scare zones. So, I'm not even going to fight you anymore because I'm tired.
I give up.
I solely give up and sell my soul to Satan. Anyway,
That's all we have
now
so far, because our next episode is when we're going to be focusing on the next 10 years, the 2010s.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be more towards, also 2020s too, but we're not quite there yet. But we're only starting. It's getting started, huh? But yes.
Yeah, this was fun. I
Yes,
like this. I like our little fights.
Yeah, it's quite entertaining, but for you, of course, like.
Stop! Not this again. I thought we were over this.
Mommy, the daddy isn't dead.
What?
You want me to talk like this?
Are you doing your Elmo voice again?
Are you stepping on Elmo?
Anyway. That's really all we...
so sorry for people listening right now.
Jesus. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with these two? Don't do school, kids. Stay in drugs.
Stay in drugs?
Stay in drugs, don't do school.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so yeah, that's really all we have for this episode. So we talked our HHN announcements. We caught up on the stuff for HHN. And then we talked some Horror Nights history. So that was fun. It was a good time. But it is time for us to... more to come. Yes. It is time for us to bring this episode to a close, though. But before we leave you, we got to do our housekeeping, tell you a little bit about ourselves. But we're going to start you off with Vania. So tell us about what you do. Okay, so I run a YouTube channel that I'm slowly getting back up to speed now that we are getting closer to spooky season. So you can find me on HHN Cultist on Twitter and on YouTube. Please make sure that you subscribe and also look at my stuff. I kind of do all kinds of things. I'm trying to get better and more active on videos, especially during spooky season. And I also like to post a lot of crap on HHN and retweet the updates and also put my little tiny opinions on things that are happening within the HHN community, but all in good opinions, nothing to bash on anybody else's, but we're all just one big loving community, at least I hope, and still have faith in it. But there are other interesting people on this podcast. So Yussef, where can we find you? Yeah, so for my personal stuff, you can find me on Twitter at itbeyusef and on my Instagram at Yussef1220. I don't really post a whole lot on Instagram. I'm mostly active on Twitter, because that's the easiest one for me to just, because that way I don't have to take pictures, because I'm horrible at taking pictures. But anyway, for our lovely podcast, Sounds from the Grave, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We also have our YouTube channel. We have our podcast itself available on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can listen to your podcasts. And we're just all over the place. So we're trying to be a little bit more consistent with the episodes. We just
Our schedules are crazy.
Our schedules are crazy. The issues having with recordings have been crazy. So like we're trying to get there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
So just bear with us.
Hopefully everything's just like gonna be smooth sailing, and hopefully like a little bit more of consistency. So we apologize if you have been waiting and you just kind of enjoy our little banters. So we appreciate you sticking with us through all this time. So
don't worry. I know we've been doing HHN related stuff recently, but we're gonna throw in some regular horror in there too. Don't worry.
Yeah, and also we will be probably covering some of the movies that are going to be on the IP list for HHN, so it's not going to be too far off.
Exactly. It's like, sure, they're related to HHN, but they're also great movies in their own right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we might have some guests on those, who knows?
Yeah, we would love that.
Mystery. But anyway, so yeah, we leave you here. We hope you guys have a good day or good night whenever you're listening to this, and that you stay spooky.
Stay spooky, y'all. Bye.
Bye.